Welcome back to the Morgue Logs with JT Colfax. I am the producer of the show. Z Colfax spent almost more than actually 2 years in the Boulder County Jail in the late 1990s. And he has a bit of a history. And if you thought that jail was going to prevent this man from nefarious and controversial activities, you would be wrong. For someone like Mr. Colfax, a library in the jail can be a great source to get into some new and exciting and innovative activities.
Are you
And
trying around the idea that I used the library in the Boulder County Jail as a weapon?
absolutely, not only as a weapon, you used it to attempt to impact a senatorial, a United States Senate campaign in 1998. And you used, none other than you, used the resources the jail offered through the library to do one of your projects, your infamous projects. So with
Yeah,
that, I'm going to turn it over to listen in on JT Colfax with his story on how he impacted and his campaign against Dottie Lamm.
I don't particularly care for your attitude, and you might one day fear my creative ways of zooming in and doing shit at people. Now, anyway, the Dottie
Well,
Lamm.
let's, at least for today, let's focus on former First Lady of Colorado, Dottie Lamm, and failed Senate candidate who tried to use her name, her statewide name recognition on the coattails of her husband, the former governor of Colorado, Dick Lamm, who was governor, I think, for 3 terms. But she attempted to use her name and name only to win that race in the Republican primary. And she actually did win, for those that don't know.
Why don't you just push yourself to the side
So
of the
again, we'll turn the show back over to JC Colfax for details from this famous and infamous
Yeah,
project.
because the more you babble, the more it makes me remember other things like I did meet Dick Lamm as a teenager in high school. Our paper that was on the paper at random high school. We uh we went down there and interviewed the governor, and I asked Dick Lamm, like, what's in your, everybody else did all the, boring, stupid, politics and all that. Which, come on, this is for a high school paper, and no one's gonna care about your oil thing or whatever. But some of them did that. Idiots in the governor's office, and so I asked the break up zany question of what's in your top right drawer or something. That's what I said. And he went, "Go ahead and look." And I went over there, and it was just full of just ordinary office supplies and some, paper clips as part of that. And I stole the paper clip. And the weird thing is, I felt weird and skewed the whole rest of the interview because of the way I palmed it, and I just feel like they knew, but they also knew that I couldn't have any, let's screw everybody on their taxes papers, or they knew I couldn't have anything of real use.
Well, there's nothing to ask. I'm here to let you tell about your Dottie Lamm project, in which you harassed, you injected yourself into the 1998 Senate campaign in
I
Colorado. Tell us how
I
you injected yourself.
see, that's the thing. That's how I forget about it. So it made me remember. So there I am, so young, plopping around in the governor's office, and we all came up with this alleged article uh, with all our bylines in the school paper. I forgot that the time goes on, and that the more interesting part would be okay. So when he was governor, anyway, it does show you. I mean, knew him to be governor. I saw him in the governor's office, and every little bit of news about him and the campaigns and all that. So you know what I mean. He was a fixture, three-term governor, and his wife Dottie Lamm had I think weekly column in the Denver Post. You know, ranging from gardening to cooking and all that. It was very first lady. You know, no, no politics, no edge type of thing, which helps with the fact. Oh, I'm actually connecting the whole thing that we're supposed to be talking about. I'm running. Okay. So then, let's see. I get to jail, and what helps me is to be more notorious and send out some zizzles here and there where I keep making myself more notorious in the jail, and it totally tamps down on the horrible ideas about JonBenet or whatever. But I'd clearly been there a good while because I was able to use the noise I could make and the noise I could make. Like I could get volunteers to help me. And so I came up with this idea about when I saw just enough. I was very much a voracious reader. We got good access to papers in the Boulder County Jail. We got the Denver Post, Running Man News, the Boulder Camera, and all of the weeklies and everything. Uh, damn it. Help me. Sludge. What do I
You're
get?
just interested in how you recruited the other inmates to help you with this project.
Yes. So you did have some worth whatsoever. As in like and look at me, like I'm in my sixties and just could wander off the trail. The time I did this behind a dumpster in San Bernardino. Come on. If you do that, you're gonna get stuck. So I came up with an idea. Okay, I saw Dottie Lamm in one of the papers with her primary campaign against Gil Romero from Pueblo, and I guess I saw it more than once. I saw like she is totally basing her campaign and quoting. Her quotes were all like, "I have statewide recognition," and and that kept being presented by the media as legit, like compared to him from blah blah, which nobody in Colorado, everybody in Colorado just looks at Pueblo as like the shit can of the state, but but she, but I mean, like she literally, as in like. What's the number one reason why you should be elected? And it's like because I have statewide recognition. Because my husband was governor for 12 years. And I had that column about flowers and shit in the Denver Post because my husband's a governor. So she also had that extra money coming in and that name recognition. And it's like, does that qualify you in any way? The proximity from a spouse being near the thing. I do believe, in some cases that can be like the person has a bigger understanding of the office than other people do. But just plain for her, it was her basing it just always on statewide. I have more statewide name recognition, And here I am in jail for all that shit. And I've been through all that news and everything. But now I've been here long enough in this place, and I've been sending out little dips and dabs of, I could get on radio. I could do all kinds of things. It was just remarkable. It was really weird. And I could send a letter somewhere, and a week later, the thing, things. What was I saying?
You were talking about how you were starting to acclimate yourself to getting attention from within the jail. You would send little clips in here and you would send something off, and then a week later it would appear somewhere, something like that.
But it was a weird catbird seat to be in jail. And that's the thing is, like, nobody, you know what I mean? Really, nobody. Have you ever seen an inmate that can send out shit, have it popping all the time, or go down and use the fucking radio and be on the radio for 15 minutes and then another 15 minutes? Which means, of course, with all the time delays and all that, there's only a certain amount of time. But I did it all the time. I did it all the time. One time I was in court in Arapahoe County about the corpse abuse cases I had, and the DA hopped up and went, "Your Honor, I'd like it to be written in the record that this man is being heavily advertised as to be on the Peter Boyle's show this morning," which was a very, very popular show. I did go on it all the time. I was now in the Arapahoe County Jail, so I didn't get the message, so I couldn't be on there. And I'm not one that was able to hear, it was interesting to me to hear like that they actually valued me enough to advertise me when they think I'm going to call.
Like, how did you get on the Peter Boyle show? How did you interact with? You went to the library and you started sending little drips in this, and then a week later someone would publish something. Did you have library time every day at the jail?
No, once a week. But
So once a week, but how? Okay, and then
but
like,
when
how
you
would you?
say library, the minute you say library, I just smile because there was a woman there, mainly there. Oh my God, there was this weird little man too. But this woman, I I had fights over my 2.7 years there. And one time I remember specifically having a fight in the chow hall, and I mashed my tray over somebody's head. And and then I got dragged down to the hole. And I swear to God, it wasn't even 5 minutes before this woman from the library, who had to have heard over some intercom thing, she brought me like 3 books, like Tom, you know, Tom Sawyer and stuff like that. That's the kind of story that, to me, I know that goes down another drain, twang and diddle of the story. But to me, it's like, my God, that woman. You know what I mean? She really cared about me. She really cared about me, and nothing more. You can't, when you get thrown in the hole. There is no way for anything on earth to tell you they care about you. But there was one way, and she did it. And you know what I mean? It's the only way. It's the only way. And she, when they opened the door, handed me the books, and then slammed the door. They didn't say a word, but it was her, and I knew it, and I loved her. Oh, anyway, so the library with the Dottie Lamm. Former First Lady Dottie Lamm.
So how are you reading in the papers when you go to the library that she announces her campaign, and then what inspired you to? I mean, you didn't like the way were you reading about her campaign in the paper, and then come up with this idea to I mean, no better word than harass her campaign from jail. Like, what inspired you to get started, basically?
What, are you one of the lambs? Then why don't you be silent? No, it was. I'm not sure I made it clear before, but we had a good array right in the pot of papers, unless you have some moron like this guy named Ricky that would take the paper and hog it all day. But we had three papers, three dailies a day, and then others, come in. So that didn't have anything to do with the librarian. And then every once a week, I feel like it's Tuesdays at 10 a.m. I can't prove that. I just feel like it. You have to line up and get marched to the library. There'd be 5, 6, 7, 8 people. And I remember one time when the Fey gay weirdo guy, sensitive guy, was in there, running it. He saw some of them were grabbing some kind of gun book, some kind of gun magazines. Something happened about a gun magazine, and we all had to leave right now, blah, blah, blah. But he fried himself out because he was such a freaky, nasty weirdo. And then this woman came in. She was just so good to me. You know what I mean? Like, uh, uh the times I go to the library could be only this long, etc. So it's not like we had any kind of daily long time uh, interaction like I had with some guards, like Linda Rogers. We'll have to talk about her one day. Uh, but the fact that, look, there's a thing where, you know what I mean? Like, if you fell down and at a big festival, and you notice, like, some friends of yours don't do shit at all. Like, look at him. And the ones that try to help, and you know what I mean? The fact that that woman knew I was in a very dark space. When you get hustled down a hall and jammed into a silent, dead room, it is stressful. You know what I mean? Everyone turns everything, anything that ever happened to me, because now it's so old. It's just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, no, it's and though surely it wasn't the first time I had ever been to the hole. I've been to the hole in many deals. I don't even know how. You know what I mean? Like, but what are we doing? Why are we in the hole again? What?
How you got to the library to use the resources to even know about the Dottie Lamm campaign, to then figure out why to troll her because you didn't like her, or you thought that she was a joke. Did you read it one day in the newspaper when the Ricky didn't have the paper? You got only to use what? How did you even get your hands on the newspaper to read the paper to figure out that she was announcing her campaign, and then later on to come back into the next week and say, oh my God, she just announced her campaign, and my God, she's using all of her name recognition as her sole reason to run. And then the next week you come in and say, I've got a brilliant idea. Let me send a bunch of postcards around trolling her campaign to businesses. And then the next week you come in and recruit a bunch of inmates to help you with that.
Okay. All right. So obviously, through my daily readings of the papers, I got the impression that Dottie Lamm was nonstop using the idea against her opponent, the slogan of that she was sublimation. No, qualified by her statewide name recognition. I saw it once, twice, thrice. I saw it enough that I could then come up with my idea. And then I began. I formed it. I had it. And the idea was to grab all of those, like, let's have more info cards, which were in magazines. This is a long time ago. Perhaps they're not as much as out there as they were.
Describe them in detail.
They were little cards, little postcards size, and the postage was paid, and you could fill them. You'd definitely find them for sure in the magazine in your packet on an airplane, and I think you still do. But it would be in every magazine. I worked at a Barnes and Noble one, and cleaning up at night, including there would be hundreds of them that fell out on the floor. Hundreds of them, and this is long after this incident. But the point is, it was very regular for magazines to have those cards, and you'd put in your name, address, and and some things, some of the best ones would have like, what info do you want? And it would have like 1 through 20, check them off. Like, oh, the sunglasses, Bahamas. Uh, so just check them all, because some homeless person almost is processing these, like, yes, nobody cared. So when she kept doing that about the statewide name recognition, I thought, I'll get some along with you, my baby, and I'll help you. So I so we filled all those out. Okay, so I got other people to help me, and every time they went to the library, everybody ripped one of them or two of them out of the magazine. So they piled up, and I gave them to people, inmates leaving. What am I? I'm a clown. That's right. So it would say Dottie Lamm-Colfax or Dottie Lamm-Colfax. You know what I mean? I did something different in every one, or Dottie Lamm-Colfax with a K, K-O, K Colfax. Everything to make it so that uh, some kind of computer won't uh, screw it up. And then I did so many of them that I even Polishized it with ZZ Colfax, Yeah, I am at least now getting to the meat. So the thing is, that's what I did. That's what I got others to do. And it was fun. You know what I mean? Like, old ladies having a sewing bee or something. You know, I would be filling out those cards at a table. Other tables have poker or shit going on, and me and my bunch of weirdos, friends, we're doing this, and it was great because we were also using the phone book for addresses and everything. I kept a master list of every single place that got subscribed to all this bullshit so that they would get junk mail under the name Dottie Lamm-Colfax or whatever. I kept a master list. And this went on for months and months and months. And then as the primary came up, I got that wonderful librarian. She could see everything I was doing, because the way the requests I would make for copies made her have to see the copies. And She could see what I was doing. There was many other things, but anyway, this one. So, so then I would get the copies back and have like 3 pages to send to various media places where just they were handwritten things that then got Xerox by her in the library. And so it was a bundle that I could send to the media of like I'm saying we uh you know attacked all these places with junk mail with Lamm-Colfax. And you could and like I literally wrote the names, addresses, and phone numbers of the places so that the media could go lazily as possible. Oh, well, let me call this one and that one. We mostly did businesses for same thing as my Clarksburg project because you could hope that somebody at a business gets it and goes, "What the hell is that?" Hands it to somebody else, and they all look at it, etc. Anyway, am I done? What did I do? Dottie Lamm.
So how did you get the postage to mail these?
Well, one, the postage was not a problem because they were cards, advertising cards, wishing for people to send them their own info to get catalog type material.
Yeah, but those were addressed to the publisher of the magazine. Why would they? How would that be? How were you able to send something to a business? So you didn't have to pay for
Because
postage?
because I fraudulently said, "Howdy, my name's Dottie Lamm-Colfax, and I live at." And oh, there's the thing. We would address them to a business in Boulder or all around, all kinds of places to come.
Gotcha. So you would use these magazines to send back to the publisher, who would then send to the business. There would be a third. You wouldn't send it directly to the business.
I'd send it to wherever it went, which would process it, which would their hope in the card and the payment for the postage was that somebody would fill it out and go, "God, I love gardening, and I'd like to hear more about wheelbarrows and farrow dirt," what I mean? And just and suck, and so they could send her a billion things.
So when the businesses got these letters, they were not from you, they were from the publisher or whoever of a magazine.
That is correct. And they had no idea why they are receiving Dottie Lamm-Colfax, Dottie Lamm K. Colfax, or Dottie Lamm Colfax. And until, of course, I, I literally I was able to send out info and embargo it with the media as in like I've been working on this project and everything and explain it all to them and say but it's for the 6th, the Tuesday or whatever, the election day. And it came out on election day in a couple of places, and especially in the outrageously big place of the Denver Post. And the Denver Post, like, columnist that did it totally laughed at. You'd have to say he took my side, as in like he made it derisive to her, and it's fucking primary day. You know what I mean? So, uh, you know what I mean? She was gonna win anyway, but you can't say that. You can't say without any doubt that I didn't swing 100, 200, 2,000.
Presumably against her?
Yeah, because it was
Well,
only a
why would that impact somebody's vote?
because
I'm trying. I mean, okay, you change. How would that change even a single person's vote? Okay, a local business got the Dottie Lamm-Colfax mailer from the
no,
gardening
that's not the
magazine.
reason. That's not
How would that? What would that do to a Senate campaign? How did you impact?
that the fact that they got them is not the reason. It's the fact that by doing it, I could publicize it to death, and it went up and down the front
Oh,
range.
so what? So as is typical with your other
Mhm. Don't
clout
you
clout
twit
hungry
me.
projects, now I'm getting a consistent theme here, consistent with you. 1% of your work on your nefarious little projects is the actual project itself. 99% of the work is your marketing and branding and advertising it to the media to cover the 1% work on the project.
How'd you like to be dragged through a mortuary in the deep dark night?
We're done with Lamb. She lost her Senate in a blowout. She got blown out 2-1 by Ben Nighthorse Campbell. And I did mention her wrong party, so I should restate her party. She was from the Democratic Party.
Yeah,
And
but Ben Nighthorse Campbell famously switched from the
that
Democratic
was the
Party,
source of my confusion.
and then she ran to suck up that void, and all she had to do was like me, you know me. The Ben Nighthorse Campbell thing was he was a big, big thing, and it's weird that I haven't heard of him in years. I I didn't realize we've finished. And here's one thing about the actual the okay, putting all those cards out that then would write to Boulder business. I remember the Boulder Weekly article about the fallout of this during election week, and there was a place called Cox, COX, Cox's lawn mowing repair, and I can't remember exactly, but I do remember snickering with other inmates when we would see this in the Boulder Weekly, that he was furious. God, there's so much junk back. It was great. It was great to see, you know what I mean? Like for the other people that helped and everything, we all see like, oh my God, we're making people flip out. Dottie Lamm-Colfax.
Oh.
Uh, you should have a, maybe you should have a nice Sprite or ginger ale.
All right, you cut me off from my story
Who
about
gives a shit? How'd you like a punch in the face?